Good morning. So with the current first league of Path of Exile 2's early access seemingly winding down, I decided to go for what many people describe as probably the strongest, or you might say most broken build in the game right now, the Gemling stud stacker. I leveled this character in the span of a few hours with the special alt character setup, which makes running through the campaign just an absolute breeze. So if you want to level a Gemling yourself, that video will be linked in the description as well. So the TLDR here is this character has crazy amounts of damage, mapping speed, can still go very high rarity without compromising on damage, and is basically immortal as well. So for this video here, I decided to present the expensive high budget version here first, with basically everything included that you want to go for if your budget allows you to. But I should absolutely emphasize that this kind of investment is absolutely not needed to make this work in a similar way. The only real big difference will probably be the noticeably less single target damage on high tier pinnacle bosses. If you want me to do a low budget version video for this as well, let me know in the comments please, and maybe even add the budget you would think is the most sensible in this case. So let's go over everything regarding this Gemling stud stacker. I've ended up here at around 700 strength, almost 1000 dexterity, and just above 700 intelligence here as well. I'm almost at 4400 life, 7200 energy shield, and 4200 mana as well. Of course, we are rest capped here. I will go over how we managed to get rest cap here in a bit. Also, we have pretty low chaos res here. We're not using chaos inoculation with this build, so we do get chaos damage. But let me tell you, with this amount of energy shield, with this amount of life, with everything just dying in a second, I haven't noticed any problem with having 22 chaos res here as well. I will go over the possibilities of you being able to get this higher. You can definitely make it to 50 plus on chaos res as well, with the right gear and the right tools, for example. So I have gone here with 22 chaos res, which has not been a problem for me at all. I ended up as well at a tooltip of Tempest Flurry of 1,660,000 here, with a rarity of 161. So let's go over the gear choices I've made here first. So in the weapon slot, of course, there's going to be a Pillar of the Cage God. For mapping, I'm choosing one with the enchant of 8% attack speed and 2 attack speed soul cores socketed into it as well. That is for mapping. For bosses on weapon swap, I have another one with the enchant of 12% increased weapon damage per 5 strength. Also, the soul cores in here are going to be the penetration to elemental resistances. So this is the setup for bosses, and for mapping, I am choosing the increased attack speed. That means on maps, the higher our attack speed on Tempest Flurry here is, basically that means the faster we can move while mapping. So for mapping, the priority is basically attack speed. For bosses, the priority is going to be flat damage for higher single target damage. On the helmet slot here, I have a Series Disdain. I didn't choose to get one with 30 Spirit so far here. The thing that most people do is get an series like this, but with the enchant of 30 Spirit on it, to use even Grim Feast, which gives us double energy shield basically as well, which makes us even more tanky. So if you want to do that, that's absolutely something that most people do. It is going to be much higher budget as well. I didn't really notice any need for it, to be honest, in my playing this character so far. I haven't died any, like, not even really close to dying in the past few days. So I didn't choose to get one with 30 Spirit so far. Next one, of course, in Astramentis. In the Amulet slot, I allocated Blurred Motion. I will go over why I didn't allocate Spaghettification on it in a bit on the passive tree here. For me, it's going to be Blurred Motion. Next one is the Warrior Invictus with Elemental Resistances and Attributes. This basically gives us almost all the all-res we need here. It's going to be with soul cores, with even more all-res here. So this gives us about, 75 all-res just right here. So we are using more soul cores and on the boots here to get us kept, in paired with some jewels I will go over on the passive tree. So this is how we make it to our rest kept. On our ring slot number 1, I'm using one with 2 flat damage ones, some mana, rarity of course, attributes and dexterity. And the next one here, again, mana, rarity, try attributes, and some more flat damage. You don't really have to go with mana here. That is just a bonus I kind of like having in this case, because going even higher on damage didn't really feel like it's needed. So I really like having a little bit more mana in this case. So this is why I went with these rings. On the belt slot, of course, it's going to be an ingenuity here. And for the boots, I'm getting 2 more reses to get me rest kept on cold res and lightning res. I am getting the fire res we need on jewels. Again, here some rarity, again some maximum life, because we are getting ES, of course, from our series, also from maximum life. So we have 7,100 energy shield, and now if I take off the series, it's actually 1,600. So just this series here, it's going to be massive amounts of energy shield here. So getting maximum life, for example, on the boots here is not a bad thing. In comparison to mana, for example, it's only gonna make us get even more energy shield in this case. Melting Maelstrom Flask and Oros Flask here are kind of nice to have as well. You don't really need them. I am not using a Mind Over Matter here, so the Melting Maelstrom Flask is a nice to have, but not absolutely needed. But I chose to get them here anyway. Next, let's go over all the skill gems. In the last recording, I completely forgot to mention the hovers here. In the glove slot, of course, we are using Hand of Wisdom in action, 4% increased attack speed per dexterity, and 1 to 12 lightning damage for intelligence. This has basically been the standard for stat stackers for quite some time. Forgot to mention it. Now let's actually go over the skill gems. Like I said in the beginning already, we are using Tempest Flurry, of course. We are at a tooltip of 1,660,000 here, with attacks per second of 25. This is definitely not the fastest I have seen. The cap is actually 30.3. I have decided to go a little bit lower here. The main drawback of this build is you get stuck everywhere. I decided to go a little bit lower on the attacks per second here. I will be a little bit slower than some of the other stat stackers that you might have seen, but I like it a lot more like this, because you're a little bit slower and you might not get stuck in every corner and every tree and every pillar that is possible in the game here. So I am at attacks per second at 25. Like I said as well, I'm also going with 161 rarity, and I have a crit chance of 36 and a critical damage bonus of 376. So in Tempest Flurry, I am using Inspiration, Rage, Primal Armament, Bullseye, and Martial Tempo. Of course, 30 Spirit and 30 Spirit are used for the 2 Herald of Thunder combos. Herald of Thunder used with Cold Infusion, Glaciation, Ambush, Ice Bite, and Cold Penetration. And Herald of Ice is going to be Overcharge, Conduction, Innervate, Shock Siphon, and Magnified Effect. Shock Siphon is nice to have here for mapping, of course. Every time this blows up a group of mobs, you will get your energy shield back. This is nice to have. It was just a bonus I got here for Herald of Ice. So this basically makes mapping an absolute breeze. Everything you just touch evaporates in a second. This has been the combo that a lot of people have been using since day one. So yeah, still good, still very, very good. Charge Staff here, I don't really activate while mapping. At this gear level, you really do not need Charge Staff while mapping. Everything just dies as it is. You don't need to use it. I use it on bosses. It is definitely a big damage increase for a single target on bosses with Tempest Spell as well. For Charge Staff, I'm using Persistence, Cold Exposure, Lightning Exposure, Strip Away, and Cooling Strike. Combat Frenzy, I'm using Profusion and Precision here. And the Tempest Spell setup is Leverage, Overabundance, Close Combat, Concentrated Effect, and Rising Tempest. For the weapon switch, I am also using Cast on Shock with Eye of Winter, Impetus, Energy Retention, Unleash, and Deceleration. For the weapon swap, you don't need, for the boss weapon swap here, the weapon set number 2 is mainly needed if I am doing pinnacle bosses, for example. Then we don't need Herald of Thunder and Herald of Ice, so we do have some room to use Cast on Shock here, and I've decided to go with Eye of Winter with these support gems for bosses here. Okay, passive tree. The passive tree will, of course, be linked in the description here. I will go over all the nuances and choices that I have made here. This is basically the standard stat stacker passive tree, but I did make some decisions that I have seen not being made in some other stuff. Main decision here is I'm not going with mind over matter. I am saving all of these points here to the way to mind over matter. For now, I don't really see a point in using it. I am not dying. I have so much energy shield. I have the option to go with Grim Feast on the Spirit Enchant on my helmet as well. I will not die like this most of the time. So I didn't really see the point in going mind over matter for this build. I have made up these points in mainly the Deep Trance here and also Tainted Strike here. Everything else is pretty standard. You always want to go for the Heartbreaking Heartstopping combo here. Of course, Falcon Technique and Enhanced Reflexes. Martial Artistry is a big point here. And the biggest thing here is also, I mentioned it earlier as well, why I didn't go Spaghettification on my Amulet Anoint is because I'm using the From Nothing with Against the Darkness combo here. So in Against the Darkness with 4% Dexterity and 4% Intelligence, paired with the From Nothing for Resonance here, so we can apply those notables here without being connected to the tree. So for the Jugular, True Strike, Seeing Stars, Event Horizon, and Spaghettification, this here gives me 20% increased Dexterity and 20% increased Intelligence. I've also decided to go for Deep Trance here for even more attack speed, less cost of skills, and this also gives me an additional 4% Dexterity and Intelligence. Also on the tree, of course, the jewels here. I am going with an Adorned setup here, so my Adorned is 85% here, and all the Corrupted Magic jewels are going to be basically in the same vein here. It's going to be a Attribute Corruption with maximum energy shield and either critical damage bonus or critical hit chance, just like this. I'm also getting 2 jewels with 10 fire res to get me over the res cap on fire here as well, because we were missing it on the gear. So 2 corrupted magic jewels with maximum energy shield and crit hit chance or crit bonus, and with fire res to get me to the cap. Next jewel here, again, maximum energy shield, critical damage bonus. Strength, maximum energy shield, critical damage bonus. Again, critical damage bonus. And in this case, cold damage. Maximum energy shield, critical hit chance. Chaos resistance on this one as well. You can get all of these. You don't have to go attributes on these corrupted magic jewels. You can go chaos res on pretty much all of them and get yourself up to 50 plus on chaos res as well if you want to. Like I explained in the beginning, I didn't really see the need because I'm super tanky as it is, and I haven't died to chaos damage yet. So next one, maximum energy shield, critical hit chance, chaos res here, and next one, chaos res again, maximum energy shield, and critical damage bonus. So all the magic jewels, corrupted magic jewels, are basically the same here. I'm not using a megalomaniac. I have been using one with pure power and I think cold nature, but I was kind of underwhelmed by it, so I am not using a megalomaniac right now. I like this setup as it is right now. I am only, I have to say, level 91. There are gonna be at least 5 or 6 more points that I can spend here, so making it towards 1.8 million or even 2 million will definitely be possible with some more points and some more upgrades here. So that is going to be the passive tree. Like I said, of course, the passive tree and everything else will be linked in the description in the video here. So that is going to be it for the Gemling stat stacker in this video here. I wanted to do this video just to showcase this build. This is probably, most people will say, the strongest build in POE2 right now. I don't know if there's ever going to be a build just as broken as this one is here. In the future, in my personal opinion, I think GGG will not let player power get so crazy as it is right now. So the main reason why I did this video as well was just for preservation purposes, so we can look back in the future and see this video and be like, oh wow, this was super, super strong. There will always be characters in the future as well, of course, that will be very, very strong, but I don't know if this was intended to make us this strong in this early access stage. So yeah, it has been super, super fun to play this. Like I said, again, let me know if you want me to do a low budget version for this to showcase what you can do with this on a lower budget. So let me know in the comments. Also, I am streaming every day, Monday to Friday, on Twitch or YouTube. So if you want to join the stream and watch me theorycraft or watch me play this character or other characters, drop me a follow on Twitch. It is twitch.tv/DadRabbit. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest to your day. Love you. Bye-bye.